Hey everybody, I'm Wade from TCITY Jewellers in Townsville, sunny North Queensland. Today I'm going to do a little bit of an information session on our most commonly asked question: how do I clean my jewellery? Everyone comes and asks the jewellers because they're amazed when we deliver our products back. They're either brand new, clean them up, restorations, they always look like the day they were bought. So when people think about cleaning their jewellery, the most important question is to think about what are you actually doing to it. When it comes to the jewellers, they're sanding your product back and they're polishing it. So they're doing a series of cutting and increasingly finer grit sanding of your metal to create it shiny, and they're also cleaning the grime off the stone. All the stones, everything that's in there. Now, the best thing that you can do at home is clean. You can't effectively sand and polish jewellery, and you don't want to be doing that because you can wear things down that don't need to be worn, break off claws, lose stones, you can damage your products. So I've got these couple of sample rings here today that I wanted to show you, and I thought we might just work through how we're going to go about cleaning them up. And you'll see I've got, I don't know if you can see them there with the camera. We've got some little old, just your common garden variety rings we see. There's a nice old channel set wetter. You see that's got a lot of gunk in between the stones. It's a little bit tired looking. The metals looks a bit discoloured. We've got a nice little 3-stone ring. Also, they've got, usually you'll find a lot of rings have hollow spaces underneath. That's where a lot of your dirt gets. And we've got this men's ring, also a channel set. The stones are in there. Inside, you see inside the hallmark here, there's quite a bit of dirt. And a lot of this dirt is a build-up of just hand creams and soap scums, just your day-to-day stuff, perfumes, deodorant. It all gets trapped on your jewellery when you're wearing it. When you're going to clean your rings at home, the best thing you can really use is something to break up the dirt that's attached to the stones and trapped in all those little nooks and crevices. So if we think about things that do break up dirt, there are ammonias and your household cleaners contain, there's citrus type acids and detergents. They're the main few things, and that's exactly what we use here in the workshop. We just use it in, you may have heard of, and we'll show you a little later, an ultrasonic. And all that does is that creates the mechanical cleaning action for the jeweller so he can clean, or he or she can clean many pieces at once. So I think the easiest way to get a handle on something that's polished by a jeweller, and the best cleaning you can do at home, is to have a look at how a jeweller goes about polishing a ring. And I thought we might just quickly jump in the workshop, give a quick sand up of these rings, and give them a polish, chuck them through the ultrasonic. I'll show you a couple of really cool little techniques that you don't have to be afraid to do. You're not going to hurt your jewellery. It's quite capable of withstanding the type of pressure we're going to put on it, but you'll see that it gives you a very effective clean, even with detergents you may have at home. And as we go along, I'll explain to you the difference, why we're using an ultrasonic, and we'll lead into showing you how you can do the best clean at home for yourself. So let's go and have a look in the workshop at a polishing situation. All right, now we're in, this is the jeweller's workshop where all the magic happens, and I've laid over here our little rings out to be cleaned up. This process, the tools we use is basically emery boards, just the same as you would use for your fingernails at home or any type of sanding for wood, metal, paint, anything. So we're going to sand back all of the dents and the marks and the blemishes. So you can just see here. All right, so we're going to sand everything back, and sanding, what it is, process of tiny little scratches, and what you're doing with those scratches is aligning them in ideally a crosshatch pattern, and they get gradually smaller. That's why you'll find sandpaper comes in all different grits. There's 400 grit down to 2000 grit. Now there are other grits out there, but this is what jewellers use. Stone cutters use 100,000 grit and all sorts of crazy numbers, but poor old jewellers, we just use between 400 grit and 2000 grit. So 2000 grit's also got a name, polish paper, because at that stage, so you'll see there's a little bit of a shine starts to get imparted to the surface. So here's emery stick, this is the 400, so I might just do the 2, so we're not here all day, just to flick you through, and I think we'll do the 2, and now I'm an old, grumpy old jeweller, so I'm a little bit lazier. If you're an apprentice, you're not allowed to use a split mandrel sander, this little Dremel. Me, I've been doing this for every day for 22 years, so I've got very good control, and I can still keep a flat and or curved surface with the sandpaper without creating ripples and gouges in a ring. So I don't recommend anyone, if you're not, I don't know, maybe the haters will have a million things to say online about it, but if you're an apprentice and you're in my workshop, you're not allowed to use sandpaper like this. So I've given myself a free pass. Alright, and you'll see here all the little scratches are gone, and we've just lined everything up with a coarse sanding. I'll just quickly run over this little fella. This little channel set, wedding ring, quite nice. Diamond. Alright, so we used the 400 grit, we're going to put him away. Now we've got about an 800 grit, and it's always good to use a good quality sandpaper. This is German sandpaper that we like to use. There's some good Japanese ones. They're the 2 major ones that I've only ever used. And it needs to be, if you're going to buy sandpaper from your hardware store, you want to buy wet and dry sandpaper, because it's bonded a little bit better, and the paper itself, because it's hence the name wet and dry, it means it can be used wet or dry. It's got a better paper on it that is waterproof and it holds together. If you get something cheap, very cheap and nasty sandpaper, it's all just going to break up and it's going to stink and it's going to put sand, grit everywhere. So get these sides done nice. So using the emery board, you can see here, just gets it nice and flat. Okay, and now we've got a fine sand here. This is actually too fine. Jump the gun here. Here we go. Now we're almost starting to get a bit of a, you'll see we're getting a bit of a reflection there, nice and flat. All of the dings, scratches, grooves out. And this is why a jeweller will recommend you. We always make you rings, sell you beautiful products, and you say how often should you get them polished by the jeweller? And the answer is you can have them polished as often as you want, but remember, every time you polish, we're sanding a little bit back. See, the gold is actually stuck into the sandpaper. That's gold dust. So it does take a negligible layer off, but if you start doing it every week, I think after a few years, you may see a noticeable difference in your ring. So we like to limit it to maybe once a year. You can do a nice hand polish and get your ring back to its new condition. So here, this little mandrel, it's the exact same thing. We've got the little grits operating. So I've got the coarse 400, I've got the 800, and then we're going to drop down to this polish paper. So here we are inside. I'm just trying to show our videography here so I can get a good angle. You can see this is a technique that you probably, not something you need to race out and do from home. I'm matching the curve of the ring and keeping it on an angle because it's the exact same when I do it with this. Emery stick I'm going to sand one way, nice parallel lines on an angle, then I'm going to turn it over and sand the other way, nice parallel lines on an angle, and you can see here you got two lovely reflections. They're the lights that are above us. There's two lights and there they are, and they're nice and uniform. So it's not ripply or undulating surface, it's nice and smooth. And this is what the sandpaper's for, to flatten the surface. So we'll just quickly do this measuring. Want to go flat up the top. We don't want to drop into the grooves too much. Also, if you do too much of this, you'll end up like me with no fingerprints. But it's another story. Okay. Now, Nearly done. Now, the next part is the polish. Now, polish, this particular polish we use, it's called Dilux, and it's called Rouge. That's the finest sort of, I think they call it a red one, Rouge. I can't remember what this is. We call this green, or the vert, which describes the colour, but we know it's a very, very fine polish. There's a coarse, a medium, and a fine. And hot little jeweler's trick is no, you don't use the coarse polish to over polish your ring, because you've got control with an emery stick. You use control with your emery stick, right? That's how you keep your surface nice and flat. If you start getting a mechanical device like these, that's why you're not allowed to use these if you're an apprentice. If you start putting a coarse polish on these babies, you're going to round everything off and you're going to ripple everything. The tool will be too strong for you to overcome and keep it flat. So to keep the control, that's why we use emery boards. Get it nice and flat, nice and uniform. You can even break yourself off a little piece of sandpaper, and you'll see here. Now, I don't want everyone to go and start sanding your rings at home. Not cool. Take it to your jeweler. This is a professional item. This is to demonstrate to you what the jeweler does to get the brand new look and finish. Because I get a lot of customers come in, they're saying, oh my goodness, I love how we clean the ring. Well, technically it's not a clean, it's a polish. There's a big difference. This is a sand and polish. So if you're having a sand and polish, that's one thing. If you're having a clean, which is what we're going to show you in a minute, the cleaning part of this process, what you're doing is removing then the dirt, the grime, and making it clean and shiny that way. This way, we're actually polishing the metal back to its new condition. You can see there, already got a sheen. That's with this polish paper. It's 2000 grit paper. Now, polish is, it's a fat or a wax, or it's something that contains an even finer grit that you find on this paper. The 2000 grit, it's so called because it's 2000 particles of grit per square inch, or whatever the technical term is. You'll have to Google it. I'm too old to know, I've forgotten all that stuff. This is finer again, so this is maybe 5000 or something like that. So these tiny little scratch lines now are still going to be there if you've got a microscope out. But now we're also doing the same thing. We're going to cross hatch them up. We'll show you on the top camera. Cross hatch them up, and look at that. Instant polish. But that polish has happened because we did the setup. Now there's a particular technique that I think we can save for another video of how you want to apply and remove the polish. But think about doing your school boots as a kid. I don't know, I had an army dad, so maybe you didn't do school boots, but I did. Where you put the leather polish on, and you let it set for a second, and then you buff it off with something smoother. Same process here, only we're doing it very quick. All right, we're putting the polish on, we're taking it off. I think Mr. Miyagi did it too, wax on, wax off. That's a joke. It's a dad joke, but it's a joke. All right, so chuck him through. All right. Now, normally we'd use a big polish with a induction, so I don't need everyone writing comments about our extraction and induction. We do have that. For the purposes of this demonstration, I've just decided to quickly hand polish it. This will be call it quick polish. If I make you a ring, I'll probably spend an hour polishing it. If I'm cleaning up a ring after a repair, we're probably going to polish it about this quick. So now, the rings are polished. So now we can move to the cleaning. We've got to clean all this polish off. And that, incidentally, is why the jeweler's hands end up looking like this. But you'll see the polish has all got on the ring. So sometimes, if you've had your ring in for repair and you put it on, it's not a good practice. Our job's to get it clean. But if you feel there's a bit of black come off your ring, you know what it is now. It's polish that, once it's all been worked through the mop at speed, pretty much always shows black. If we rinse this out on a towel, you'll find it's just green, okay, like this stuff. So let's move on with the cleaning process. So here we have our trusty ultrasonic. Everyone loves the ultrasonic. All it is a bath of water, and it's got a speaker attached to the bottom which creates an ultrasonic wave, which is a shaking motion in the water, and that Shaking motion simply dislodges dirt. So, and the heat and the water softens the dirt. A chemical that's put in there, i.e. ammonia, detergent, anything that breaks up dirt, also aids the process. So all this does is speeds up the process of cleaning the ring. Now, if you're at home, we recommend to all of our customers, retire your old toothbrush. This is not mine, I don't have a pink toothbrush. Get your toothbrush, retire him, warm, soapy water, a little bit of detergent, and what you can do, you can go across the stones. Any stones that are on top, there's some stones that don't go in water. Pearl, natural emerald are the main sort of ones. Try and avoid opal, because some opals can be doublets. Anything that you suspect is a doublet is glued together. If it needs glue to hold it, it's organic. They're usually things that you want to keep out of water in general, but maybe ask your jeweler. Once you know that you can clean the ring, it's diamonds or it's all safe stuff, you'll be fine to proceed with the knowledge knowing that you can give it a brush along. Give it a stab, and that will push your bristles down between those stones in the channel. Turn it over. Just give it a little bit of a work underneath in the hollow section. Okay? I'm going to do quickly the same with this little fella. So I want a bit of water, warm water, break him up. Stab, stab, stab between the stones. Just brushing away action, because you've got to be careful. If you go backwards and forwards, sometimes it can trap a little bristle, and before you know it, you've given it too much of a rip. So at least if you're just going nice and out one way, you just got that nice action. You're not going to grip anything and rip it apart, okay? So, brushing away, stab, 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 turn him over. Bit of a stab inside, stab, stab, stab. Little bit of a running the bristles along inside. And the ultrasonic, now you could rinse at this stage, but all our ultrasonic is going to do is continue that action, which is to shake up and turn him on here. We've got a timer. Yep. And go. Now, if we have a quick look here, I don't know if the video guy can capture this. Just have a look inside of this water here. See the little wave pattern in there? See it bubbling? That is the ultrasonic action. So all that is agitating to take all of this dirt. We've got these little hooks in here to hang it in there, and look at that. Okay, we've had them agitating in the sonic for a little bit. We've given you a look at how the ultrasonic works. Let's pull them out and see what we have here. Okay, well, they're nearly clean. Just we need to see, even the old jeweler's got to do the same. The toothbrush is your best friend. Great. And you're recycling toothbrushes. So it's sort of like a win-win. So I'm doing the exact same thing, using my little stabbing technique, and I'm trying to shake all of that dirt out from behind the stones. Big part of the dirt that you'll see, and I'll give you the most commonly held myth. If you've got a good diamond, you don't need light from the bottom. All the light comes in the top of the stone, reflects around inside of the stone, that's why it's cut on the angles, and comes back out to your eye. However, stones other than diamond's the best for, even if it's dirty on the back, it will still be shiny. Anything else, semi-precious, amethyst, citrines, topaz, a little bit of dirt on the back of the stone, you will see the dirt through the stone on that back face, and the stone looks cloudy or dull. So the biggest trick, like with this little fella here, is getting that toothbrush anywhere you can see the back of the stone. It could be right up through the back, and this is why, another thing, pet hate, 22-year professional grumpy jeweler. Why do people still keep making stuff all over the internet that's set blind? If you have set blind, means there's no cleaning hole underneath the stone. There's no way for you to clean your stones because it's trapped by metal. So, hot tip, want to save yourself a heap of grief, don't buy jewellery with blind set stones. So give it a stab, give it a clean through the back. If you've got a 4-claw setting holding your main stone, you can also gently stab. The bristles are going to run down the back of the stone and break up all that dirt, and then you're going to rinse it off. The stone's going to look brand new. Okay, so here we have it. out they come. And this is your last thing that you can do, obviously at home, is a really good rinse in fresh water. So here we have it. This is the glory moment. We might even brand new, shiny, clean rings. So that's what the jeweler does, okay? Clean and polish. And then the final touch, the secret weapon, sawdust. Helps if you're next to some insane craftsmen next door that create a lot of sawdust. Sawdust acts like a chamois, and if left overnight, it will just dry. Make sure no moisture, no watermarks or spots on your rings. And look at the reflection in those little puppies. So that's going to be one very happy customer. We want them, obviously the sawdust will stick until they're fully dry, and then it will, tomorrow morning when we come back, these will be perfect. Okay, what you've just seen there is the full process that the jeweler, your jewellery store, anywhere will do to clean and polish your rings so they're in new condition. Now, the other end of that spectrum is what you can do at home. Now, we're going to do another video and we're going to show you through all the cleaning solutions that you have available. There's supermarket ones, your jeweler will sell you ones. The internet, the world is full of cleaning products for jewellery. We recommend, we've got a product in the wings, which we will show you in due course. But for now, for the last 15 years, I have recommended that detergent, warm soapy water and a toothbrush are your best friends. So I've found my toothbrush. It's a blue one, no more pink. And we've got these two rings. I can't show you the ones I've polished because they're already spotlessly clean and look lovely. So here's a nice little bridle set. And you can see it's in pretty good condition. There's a bit of sheen to the gold. It's not too gouged and scratched up. So that's fairly average everyday wear. The best thing you're going to do to get results on this ring is clean the stones, clean all of that grime, all that build-up, soap scum, hand creams, food, all this type of stuff that your ring gets subject to every day. That's just stuck on the back of the diamond. It's stuck all in between the stones in the claws, and your little bristles, same. We've got our stabbing action. We're going to stab underneath. We've got our little stabbing action, and here we've got warm soapy water. It's just got a bit of detergent in house. I like to use concentrate, but any detergent's fine. But it's warm. We've got a little heater in here. This would be just like you have at home. You don't need the ultrasonic on. You see it's 0, it's turned off. So the warm water is going to soften the dirt, and the detergent, that's what detergents do, is break dirt up. So we're going to use our little stabbing motion, stab, stab, stab on the top. Do our little technique of brushing one direction away that we told you before. I told you we can just turn the ring, just brush away. Because remember, you don't want to get into a wiggling action and get one bristle trapped somewhere where it shouldn't be trapped and just wiggle and put pressure on somewhere where you could avoid it. So just with that one-way directional and the stabbing, and by stabbing, see there, the little bristles are going in behind the stone. Okay, so we got it. So now we need a bit of manual agitation. We don't have our ultrasonic. You can buy those little ones. I haven't had much success. I wouldn't bother having one in my workshop, but customers tell me that they like them. So if you'd like to save yourself a little bit of elbow grease, you could get a small home ultrasonic, but you're going to have the best results if you apply these techniques in conjunction with your ultrasonic. So now we've given them an agitate. They're pretty good. Let's give them a rinse. Now they're rinsed off nicely. Give them a little bit of a dry. And you'll have a look here. Beautiful and shiny. Look at that. And that's all, that's half of the battle, is getting that dirt from off the bottom of the stones. And we can show you in another video a bit later. We'll show you some techniques that you can use to polish the surface a little bit, but as you can see here, that is a jewellery clean, folks, and that's half the battle. And then of course, like our two little babies in the sawdust over there. A full polish is the other end of the spectrum. So, cool. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video and see a little bit about what we do on the Jeweller's Bench and gain a bit more understanding in how to care for your jewellery.